My darkest time was at that point of time because I was struggling with a whole lot of mental fears and anxiety. Once we reached there, he was like, "Acha, ab mujhe pata hai why you wanted to have a consultation with him only from him only. Is it just you putting your happiness onto your social media comments and likes and follows, or there is something beyond that?" For me, there's lots beyond that. I am very proud of my husband's achievement. I am very proud to be called his wife. TED Talk ek taraf, SRK ek taraf. 11 times that we saw, we were studying books. We were very serious.
Tahira, welcome on Bollywood Hungama.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So I've read the book, The 12 Commandments of Being a Woman. And in fact, I've wanted to speak to you for a very long time now. I keep on following your work like a lot of other people. I'm one of your admirers as well. So, the best thing that I liked about the book was the level of irreverence and the fact that you've treated a lot of serious pillars in your life and issues in your life in a very light-hearted manner, making it so much a wonderful experience, because I think we tend to take ourselves too seriously. But you've been through a lot of stuff, but still you can just laugh at yourself. Where do you get that courage from?
Honestly speaking, I think I've been a funny one throughout, but and tragedy or an obstacle or some problem in retrospect is always funny. Or maybe that's how I assume, or that's my vision of looking at things. But I think I've always had this voice, and it has been reflected in few of my writings before. But I was lost before, so which is why I was dabbling in different jobs. And this clarity of doing what I'm doing right now kicked in a bit later in life, but I'm just so glad it has. And I think that's the kind of voice that I have always had. And at this book, I think I have poured out a bit too much. So at times I feel कि यार ये ठीक भी क्या है कि now I'm worried about what all I've written in the book. Like, I don't want my children to read this book. So yeah, I guess I think I've been very brutally honest in this one.
Right. Okay. So I've read the book. Maybe I'll just point out a few of the things that you may be embarrassed about.
Yes. Please go ahead and embarrass
me. Okay, so you're being treated by a German doctor, and you have certain thoughts for him, which I thought was amazing. What was Ayushmann's reaction there?
Yes, I have been to that place twice. The first time I went with my friend Neeti, and both of us, we didn't get that doctor, but we had the hots for him. He's amazing. He's very, very good looking. He's a typical nerd, but extremely good looking. And so on the last day of my visit there, he's the guy who came and he checked me, and I was like, मेरा trip बन गया, मेरे पैसे सारे वसूल हो चुके हैं. So the next time I went there with my husband, and I was like, I didn't tell him how hot he was, but I was like, I want only this doctor. I want to go. Last time I heard that he's very, very good, and he's the best there. So I need to go through him. So I took a consultation with him, and of course he got with somebody else. And once we reached there, he was like, "Acha, ab mujhe pata hai why you wanted to have a consultation with him only from him only." But a girl has got to do what she's got to do when such a good-looking doctor is checking and examining you. So I had a blast, is all I can say.
All right. So now there is this misnomer that women, they don't watch porn, but you've celebrated the entire experience of you and your friends watching porn for the first time.
Yes, why not? I don't think this is only men are entitled to do that. I think women too are. And this was the time I spoke about when I was in my college. And that time, I think we were even, we have become more expressive now because of social media. And so we also know about more stories and more women having their voices. At that point of time, it was not the case. So it was a strictly, porn was strictly boys' zone. And so, but we too wanted to sort of experience this experience. And so I think in the book, I have explained how actually went and all the process that went into getting that one CD from that guy, and he least expected it, and he made a very sexist remark about which I have written in the book. So yes, that incident is there in my life, and that has happened, and yeah, what else can I say?
All right, and it's
ये
very
true
interesting
क्या
the
है
way.
मतलब you have actually read it and you made it a point कि मैं अब बताता हूँ जो लिख लिया है ना इस लड़की ने.
देखिए मसला क्या है, मैं आपके पुराने इंटरव्यूज देख रहा हूँ, तो आई थिंक फॉर मी इट्स इम्पोर्टेंट दैट I should try not to repeat what has already been
Of
asked to you.
course, no. It gives me immense joy that you've actually read the book and you're asking me things, and you remember it. So I hope it was a memorable experience for you too.
No, no, it is very interestingly written. There's no doubt about that. It's very interesting how you address Ayushmann as your boy.
Yeah, because I don't know. It's the story is it's my journey, so I didn't know how to address him. I usually call him my skinnier half. Because clearly he's half my size. So and in the book I've it's that's how I've addressed him. So yeah.
I've often asked Ayushmann that he has done several films dealing with various aspects of sexuality, be it being a donor, be it erectile dysfunction, or being a gay. But after reading the book, I realized that the epithet of being a wiki donor suits him the most.
It so does, man. I mean to say, there is an actual proof running around in the house. So yes, yeah, that episode is there too, where I don't know what else to say, but you're absolutely right. That role suits him the best. He gets it in one go. I should bite what I'm saying now.
It's like in movies that you had one sort of interaction and you end up getting pregnant. So
बस
that sort of
ऐसे
right.
जो हमारे पुराने जमाने में कहते थे ना कि लाइक हाउ आवर नानीज एंड दे हाउ दे ऑपरेटेड कि लड़का टच कर जाएगा तो प्रेग्नेंट हो जाओगे. मेरे केस में जेन्युइनली यही हो गया था. ट्वाइस अनप्लान्ड इज इक्विवेलेंट टू दैट.
And it's very interesting how you've spoken about your kids in a funny manner rather than being too sugary and sentimental, because obviously as a parent everyone feels very strongly about their kids, but as a reader, if there's something different which is offered, it always makes it more interesting. And you obviously the sort of relationship that you share with your kids, I think it's truly remarkable. While you were writing those moments, did you realize that once they grow up, they'll read all these things and they'll
I
realize
think
that
they
how
would hate.
difficult.
I think they're going to hate me. They're like, why could you be like other moms and write some nice things? But I feel I have sort of expressed what most of the moms feel. They don't feel overt love all the time. I mean, so the kids do get to your head. You feel like, pulling your hair apart. You feel like hiding under the sofa or in your bathroom or in your cupboard, and then not responding to your kids when they're screaming out for your name. I think all of us have felt that. And yes, I have expressed the same. But I can vouch for it that this feeling is not alien, and a lot of mothers feel it, and I think it just makes us human, and I think we really need to let go of the superhero cape and gown that mothers wear or working mothers wear. It's this is added pressure that you're bound to be perfect because you are a multitasker. You're so amazing when it comes to you can manage your house, you can manage your work. This is added pressure, putting a woman at a pedestal and then sort of giving the attribute of a superhero or all of that. I think every woman multitasks, every man also multitasks. It's like some men shirk away from the responsibility and they say कि हमसे नहीं हो पाएगा, and women actually go on and they challenge that. That's not got to say that you are like that, Faridoon, or anybody else, but generally that's how it goes.
No, no,
Um,
absolutely. That's absolutely
no,
fine.
but it's okay. I think it's very okay to be human. And as long as we're alive and for as long as we are human beings, we are bound to falter. We are bound to commit mistakes. And the best part is just cherish those days also where you feel like sort of stabbing yourself or your own children. I mean to say, don't actually go and do that. But yeah, I'm a wrong person to actually talk about all this. गलत precedent set कर रही हूँ मैं.
you know what I also found interesting was the fact that we are all of us we are grappling with COVID right now. Too many theories, too many remedies, and too many fears. There have been so many stories that people have died of heart attacks and other ailments just because of the fear element. So in that context, when you talk about your cancer and your other ailments in a light-hearted manner and still creating so much of awareness, that makes it so relevant, because I think it's all in the mind many a times. There have been so many examples. I've personally known of people who have actually died just because they were so petrified that they may be having COVID.
Really?
Yeah,
I agree with you on that, yeah. I mean to say, I think mental resilience and mental power and the kind of role it has to play and the kind of, the power that it has, we really need to understand that it's human mind is very, very powerful. And you're right when you say that, I have sort of experienced both sort of feelings. Like there was a time when everything was going right in my life. I'm say overtly to the secular people. She's got a job. I was teaching at the time. She has a lovely, harmonious home, lovely kids, parents, husband. Everything is going so well for her. There's nothing wrong. And that was the time that I was in my deepest despair. My darkest time was at that point of time because I was struggling with a whole lot of mental fears and anxiety, and I was sad. I was in a very, very low life state. I ended up the sadness had gone to such an extent that I ended up getting IBS, which is an irritable bowel syndrome, and your tummy is intolerant to most of the things. So basically, I had spoiled my entire ecosystem, and the germ had started from my head, and I felt defeated most of the times. And then I was introduced to a beautiful philosophy, and it's about whatever philosophy works for whomever. So whichever philosophy, whatever religion, whatever practice that you're doing, if it enables you, if it empowers you, if it tells you that you have the power to your own happiness, you have the key to your happiness, and you can change the situation that you are in by just changing your perspective, I think that's a beautiful philosophy to follow. And for me, Nichiren's Buddhism did that for me, and I started viewing things in a different light. Is not to say that my life became devoid of problems. In fact, I had cancer after I had started practicing. But the kind of perspective that I had towards cancer was not that of being defeated, was that it's a part of my life, it's a part of my journey, and I vow to make every part of my life joyous. And, so your suffering sort of becomes less. So, it's again, you're absolutely right, it's got to do with your mental resilience and mental faith. And sadly enough, all of us, we dip. There are days that we are feeling really, really happy and excited, and the next moment we are plummeted down. So we keep oscillating between these life states, and that's for all of us. And I can say that for you also. I don't know you as a person, but I'm sure you're a human being and you're bound to feel all these emotions. Now,
absolutely.
how do you balance yourself? How do you reduce? You can never remove these oscillations. For as long as life, you will feel joy, you feel suffering, you will feel happiness, you'll feel anxiety. But how do you reduce these oscillations? So, that really comes from centering yourself and having complete faith that, you're going to get through this victorious. So I just feel that, your philosophy, your faith, or just confidence or faith in yourself, that really, really it helps you.
Right. So the stomach issues that you spoke about, you have written about it in detail, and you also mentioned that you were a certain weight at a certain point of time and you wanted to reduce that, and you started a
Yes.
certain diet, and maybe it was not a good idea. That was proven later. Maybe that is one of the learning lessons for you, and maybe for others.
Absolutely. I still am not 100% fine, Faridoon, as I speak to you. It's been so many years, about 12 years. Um,
Mm.
and I'm intolerant to a lot of things. And these intolerances, these are not allergies. It's not something I was born with, or I'm allergic to something. Like I will not break into a high, like, or some rash or something. It's just that it's intolerance. My body is rejecting all this because I deprived my body of certain foods for a very, very long time. The kind of association that I had with my food was of repulsion, of that, this, if I'm going to eat this, I'm going to become this size. So it was a hate relationship with food. So anywhere you put these sort of emotions is bound to get you someday. So so I am on a way on a path of self-improvement, and I still struggle. Like I can't have lentil, I can't have lactose, I can't have gluten. But there's so many things, and then you say, what can you have? But I'm slowly and gradually improving myself with every day and every moment and every year. And that was a time when I'm 5'8.5". That's my height. In my head, when I was an adolescent or when I was a teenager or even when I was dating, in my head, I should have been a certain size. I should have looked a certain height and a certain weight as a as compared to my better half or the person I'm standing next to. These are the complexes that when I can't fit. मैं अपनी height को थोड़ा घिसा सकती हूँ. या मैं similarly you can't put yourself in a stereotype that beautiful or gorgeous or attractive is when you hit a weighing scale which is in your 50s. Now, when I am 5'8.5", it's very tough to get yourself to a 55, which is um, mostly general for women who are probably 5'5" or 5'6" or 5'4". But for me, it had to be 60 and above. But in my head, I pushed myself to such an extent that on the day of my marriage, I did weigh 59. I had pushed myself so much, but
Yeah.
it costed me a whole lot. It costed me something which I'm still paying till date. And that's something that I've shared in my book, and that's something that I really wish other people can learn from. It's always good to learn from other people's experiences rather than going through them yourselves. But even till date, I see so many diets being thrown at you, this diet, that diet, with this and without that. I think you really need to have a loving relationship with food and with yourself, and have a lot of self acceptance.
You wrote about your tryst with cancer, and you also wrote how when you and Ayushmann you came to the hotel room after getting to know about it and how you laughed about it. And you presented a very hale and hearty sort of picture around it, which makes a person who's reading it nice about it as well. But you were extremely young at that point of time. You had two kids. Did the thoughts of mortality cross your mind? Did you think from that perspective?
You know, I guess universe has its way of uh, protecting you, or in by that I mean the kind of information that was given to me. It was given to me in spurts, but that's not because the doctors were hiding anything, because that's how it was revealing itself. So like I said, from under a 2% I went to a 95%. तो वो एक journey थी. तो but every time a test happened, I don't know how to put it across to you. At that point of time, there was no anxiety, there was no stress. There was I was like, okay, this is something that we'll find out. Let's find out what it is. And once I got to know, maybe it was delusional optimism. I don't know what that life state was, but I just took it on. I embraced it as I would have embraced a happy experience in my life. That was the kind of honestly speaking, there's not an iota of pretense out here when I say it was embracing. I embraced it. I was like, this problem is also mine, and I have no one to blame. And then till date, at least it happened in 2018, and this is 2020. Till date, I haven't said, with God's grace, that why me. Like, if good things are happening to me, then this is also part of my journey, and I have never questioned for that. Why did all the good things happen? So why should I question this? Let me take it in my stride, and let me take it as a challenge. And I think I was bombarded with so much of love and positivity. People around me they didn't judge me. I mean to say, the first time when the doctor sat us down and he said that you have to undergo a surgery, I that's one moment that got to me. That's it's something, like I said, you associate yourself, your beauty, or everything to it. And that was one moment that I felt, oh gosh, really, even though he was telling me that these are the ways that you can go for reconstruction and all of this was happening. But that's the one time that I looked across to my partner and I saw in his eyes, and he was like, are you crazy? Life is more important than all of this. And it was, I know him for the past 18 years.
70.
I know when a person is fibbing and not fibbing. It was his most honest first reaction. And I feel that if every woman, every person, human being gets that side of a reaction or that sort of an environment, I think everybody will get a lot of strength to sort of cope up, and the happiness quotient also increases. So I think the thought of mortality at that point of time, no, but after that, my life was bombarded with messages and problems on an everyday basis. That's because I opened up my life on social media. And so even during when I was undergoing chemotherapy, or even after that for my regular checkups or consultations, there were a lot of people who were pouring their heart to me, and I do intend to read most of the messages as much as I can. And that at those times my heart used to sort of, um, that was those were the times that I used to feel, oh God, what it would have gone wrong, or there's this pain this person is going through, and those are the moments of doubt that actually came in that point of time. But again, it's how what you determine. So even in those times, I determined that I'm listening to these messages, but what am I sharing with them? So I think it's moment to moment determination. Moment I don't, perhaps consciously it did not come to me, subconsciously it might have come to my mind. But what was my determination in that moment? What was my intention in that moment? What was my awareness about my reaction in that moment? I think that's when you sort of let go of that thought which tries to wiggle its way up to your conscious level and try to tell you that this you can get defeated. So I think this happens to all of us. These devilish functions that you call, these thought,
Absolutely.
these they keep coming, but you need to fight moment to moment. It's moment to moment struggle. It's a moment to moment determination.
There's one very fascinating thing about your entire persona is that you come across as a very strong woman um, who can smile in the face of adversity, who can just go and do interviews in a bold look. And you know what happens with that particular persona is that people start looking at you as this very strong woman of steel, and that's the only face that they want to see.
Right.
Do you at times just tell yourself that when I'm in a state of vulnerability, when I'm vulnerable, then you guys need to accept me like
Yeah.
that as well?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think everybody is vulnerable wherever they are, whichever position they are in. And I think we should not take our social media way too seriously, because everybody's life is so beautiful on social media. And I'm sure mine looks too beautiful too, because I'm putting the best moments out there. But it only makes sense that if you share a moment where, I feel this is a platform where you can share a lot of hope and determination, and you can spread a lot of love. But there are a lot of times that you feel defeated, you feel vulnerable, you are a human being, and you can. And I don't remember my post, but I did feel that one time, and I did share it, that I am not feeling that great about myself today. And I was bombarded with so much of love, that you will get through this. And that's where human connectivity comes. Even there are people that I can't put faces to, but these are all energies in the environment. So I think it's very important to acknowledge, and also not take yourself too seriously and feel that, okay, now I'm in this role of being so perfect, my life can't go wrong. Arey, why can't it go wrong? It can go wrong at any point of time. And there is no it doesn't make you a lesser person. I mean to say, why should you be judged also on that? If you have a failed relationship, or a failed relationship with yourself, or in your family, or you have a health problem, or even a financial crisis, everybody goes through something or the other. But like I said, as long as we are human, we are bound to go through all this. And the idea is to have a lot of acceptance that these are going to happen, these have happened, they might happen again, whatever might happen. But you can't take your life so seriously that you put yourself across as this perfect person with, like a perfect life. I totally, I don't agree to sort of portraying that sort of a life. And I somehow feel when you start portraying that, now you start feeling like that. Also, you have that disconnect with yourself. So
Hmm.
thankfully, with my practice, and with the kind of lovely friends that I have, they are from my childhood and my theater friends. And I think that that's how you surround yourself with the people. They will not be in awe of who you are, what you are. They will call you for whatever it is, and you cherish that. So I think, where do you put your happiness onto? Is it just you putting your happiness onto your social media comments and likes and follows, or there is something beyond that? For me, there's lots beyond that too. So yeah.
You spoke about Ayushmann's career. You went from Vicky Donor to Nautanki Sala, and then you went to Dam Laga Ke Haisha. Now, I think a lot happened between Nautanki Sala and Dam Laga Ke Haisha in Ayushmann's career. Quite a few of his movies, they did not work, and if Dam Laga Ke Haisha would not have worked, I think it would have been a really bad news for him.
Yeah, yeah.
Hawai Zada, I think, did not even get a proper release as well. How do you cope with his state of vulnerability at that point of time? Because I
I
think must have needed that.
I think some people need to work towards positivity, and to work towards, having this survival instinct. And some people have it within themselves early on. And of course, every challenging situation does get to you. I mean to say, you fret over it. There was a discussion that, now where is it going to go? And of course, we weren't confident about how it's going, but I didn't see him mull and didn't mope over it. He was not cribbing. He didn't begrudge. In fact, what I saw was he started working on his band. So he's called a band. He's got a band,
Mm.
Ayushmann Baba. So in his head, his plan B was already working. The thing is to survive, and and not to just to survive, to have a joyous living. And that's something that I saw in him. I observed that, even though the movies weren't doing well, he was giving his 100%, and by the end of it's art, and art really comes from a happy space too. Like, it's happy music, it's romantic music, it's, you're giving numbers, belting out numbers one after the other, and you're collaborating, you're jamming with so many people. But I saw him. He's a fighter. Yeah, he's always been a fighter. I have never seen him really take a day and think about it or get depressed about it the entire day. The moment definitely comes in his life, but I've seen him just get up and move on with it. And that's what happened during that time, between before Dam Laga Ke Haisha had released. Hawai Zada happened what it happened, and before that, all the other films. And immediately, Ayushmann Baba came, and he started like, if not this, this is going to be my source of income. So I think
Mm.
it's about what your, again, determinations are. Where are you channelizing your energies, and are you going to cry and crib over it? कि, oh no, मुझे एक perfect launch नहीं मिला, या मुझे एक perfect journey नहीं मिली, या I am at a disadvantage and other people are at advantage. I have not heard him say this even once in my entire
Okay.
association with him. Not even once. And that says a lot, because I've been with him for a very long time. So it's about, where are you channelizing your energies. I think it's his have always been into creating rather than going towards self-destructive mode. I was in a self-destructive mode, which I've experienced and which I've spoke about in the book. I had a hate relationship with myself, and now it's love. And also now it's work in progress, because you have these tendencies, and you sort of at a low point, you tend to go back to where you had started from, but then your awareness helps you not to go back. So yeah, this is life.
Yeah. Right. You know, what happens with celebrity couples, or say if you are having anyone who's famous in your household, that there are all sorts of judgments that are thrown at you. There are all sorts of opinions that are thrown at you, which can be rather unnerving at times as well. Like, that वो इतना अच्छा गाते हैं, आप उनकी इंस्पिरेशन है क्या? और आप वो लिखते बहुत अच्छा है, वो किस टाइम पे लिखते हैं, आप उनके लिए क्या चाय बना के लाती हैं क्या, तो जब वो लिख रहे होते हैं? So what happens in
But
those
you think these
circumstances?
questions are going to be asked? You think me answering these questions?
Yeah, I'm just giving you a general idea, not you, but I'm just giving you like a general idea that in terms of
I
the
agree. When one
we have,
person is more famous, I think
yeah,
the entire world is centered around that person, for,
exactly.
for the
So
world.
my question basically is, so what happens is that so you've had a relationship with him for such a long time, and you constantly want to just make it very clear that you want to be known because of your own work. that you've always, be it a PR agency, be it events, you've always, be it as a filmmaker, you've always, be it at Big FM as well, that you've always wanted to be known because of who you are. It's not that you are not proud of his achievement, but your own person. But many a times the world doesn't look at these things from that perspective.
It's very challenging. There is a recent article which came, and I literally had to hold myself back. And I'm sure I'm going to be called up for even talking to you about it. But there was this article which said, this one's wife and this one's wife and this one's wife are doing this, and so I was one of the women out there. And I was like, wow, it's so easy to just say that this one is this one's wife, and you've actually taken away the entire credit and the entire identity of that person, and if the person is just boiled down to being someone's wife, it's so easy to pass such a comment and pass such. So I had a half a mind to call that person out on Twitter, but I haven't. I have little behaved myself, but I completely agree that there are times when such things happen. Uh, I like to function from a place which is a happy place in my heart, which is why I have chosen now to respond and not react. So when it's a response, then there's a lot of thought that you have put into, and I feel that there is this communication needs to change. I am very proud of my husband's achievement. I am very proud to be called his wife. But I'm very proud of my children's achievements. Like they have done small. If they make a card, seeing me make a book, my daughter has made a book and she's written something in a book. She keeps writing and she's used a sellotape to make that book. And I'm so proud of that. And if somebody calls me Viraj and Varushka's mother, I'm equally happy. But yes, I am my own person too. And that goes on with every human being on the face of the earth. I mean to say, and I would have a lot of respect for people who would respect this as well. And so I don't have any qualms being called somebody's wife and daughter and sister and mother, but I would love to be called by my name too.
What is your definition of feminism?
Feminism for me resonates a lot with equality, parity, having an equal right and opportunity to say and express. And somehow in today's time, because ours is essentially a patriarchal society, when a woman does have a voice and does express, she's termed as a rebel. But when a man does that, he has a point of view. That has to change. So, a woman, when she talks, it's not necessarily that she's always frustrated or she's always upset or she is a single woman. These are the kind of things that are actually associated. So if you have a boss who's a woman and who's harsh on you or commands a certain sort of work, these are the kind of terms that are used, that she must be frustrated, she's not getting enough sex, or she's single, or these are the things that are said. I think this really needs to change. You need to have the same set of rules and parameters and expectations from both the genders. And this is half the population that we're talking about. So really, feminism for me actually means humanity. And it's to give respect and dignity to the other person is a fundamental right for each one of us.
All right, Tahira, last question to you is that Shah Rukh Khan is a mega star. I'm sure people must have told him millions and millions of stories of how he's the king of romance for them. But when he read your book, he was rather amused to know that how his movie played a part in your romance.
Yes.
Tell us something about it.
This was the time when we were in college, and this was the time of single theaters. So we didn't have multiplexes back then, of course. There was this single theater opposite my college. It was called Nirman. And so Chandigarh mein jagah hi nahi hoti thi to date and to make out. So, it's such a small city. So we ended up going to Nirman, and I used to bunk college. And we saw Ashoka because both of us are SRK fans. So both of us saw Ashoka once nicely. And the rest of the 11 times that we saw, we were studying books. We were very serious. क्या करते हैं कहाँ जाते हैं बताओ. So yeah, so he has a
he has written in the book that whenever you guys met him and you guys used to look at him in a certain manner. So did you actually give him those looks
I
because
think
of that episode?
I don't know. Maybe he could read through us. And but whenever we both have been in awe of him, and of course there are these funny nerdy smiles that come across both our faces. And perhaps he must be thinking, "Hey, what's wrong with these two?" Even on my TED talk, when I was like, TED talk ek taraf, SRK ek taraf. So I'm sure all these things must be coming to him. But yeah, it's the truth. That's what had happened, and perhaps he had the vision to see through us.
But not a bad film either. I think even Karina looked great in that film.
Yeah, yeah, of
I
course. She
think
was very, very, very hot,
she was
very
filmed.
beautiful,
Yeah, she was filmed
uh,
very nicely.
and that was the time I remember hers was sort of a very natural makeup-free look, and just
Yeah, there was
that
no
was
makeup.
so attractive and so gorgeous. That was something new for everybody, because usually you have all these extremely highly makeup perfect looks, and she was glowing in that film. Uh,
Absolutely.
but yeah.
Right. Tahira Kashyap, lovely talking to you, and congratulations for your book. I'm sure
Thank
that many people all across the world are going to be loving it, and keep on being the wonderful person that you are. All the best. Thank you very much.
thank you so much. Thank you, Faridoon.
Thank
Thank
you. Thank you very much.